with Michelle. Michelle by Shelly Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Michelle is a computer geek. She's really smart and loves the computer. I've been observing her and trying to figure out what makes this person so smart. I've come up with the following qualities. I think she's observant, I think she's a self-learner, and I think she's a risk taker. Before I tell you a little bit more about Michelle and why I think she has these qualities, let me tell you about her background and how I met her. Oh, by the way, Michelle is a 7-year-old who lives in Chicago. About 4 years ago, I met Leslie, Michelle's mom. She was a client of mine, and she's a writer. I did some editing for her, but then we coordinated our expertise and together had some mutual clients. So I talked to her on the phone from time to time. Occasionally when I'd call, her daughter Joanne would answer the phone. And Joanne was a little chatterbox. She talked to me, told me about school, told me about her little sister Michelle, told me about everything, and it was hard to get Leslie on the phone. But I realized as time went by that I would talk to Joanne, but never Michelle. So I asked Joanne, can I talk to your sister? No, she doesn't talk much. I asked Leslie about Michelle, and she said, well, she's my quiet child. Joanne is brighter and more assertive and more talkative. Well, one day, I'd say about 1.5 years ago, Michelle did talk with me. She said hi, and was very, very quiet, and a little girl, a few words. From time to time, I'd receive emails from Joanne. Then all of a sudden, about 1 year ago, I received an email from Michelle. Here, I think she's used the same email and replies to it. And here I have printed out all the emails and our conversation back and forth. Sometime, I would say 6 or 8 months ago, Michelle sent an email telling me that she had taken some pictures of her dolls and I should look at her website. A 7-year-old, 6.5-year-old child. Well, I did look at her website, and it looked childish and had some animation, but she created this. I said, I will keep looking at your website, but tell me when you make changes to it. She said, well, I took pictures with my mom's video camera, and I'm trying to figure out how to upload this video to YouTube. Whoa! Here, I think you're seeing that this little girl is a self-learner and a risk taker somehow. Then about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I got an email from Michelle saying, Shelly, are you on Yahoo Chat? Can we do instant chat? I said yes, and we began to chat with instant mail, where I would key in a message and she would reply, and we would have these little conversations on our computers. Then she asked, do you have a webcam? One of those cameras where we can share. I said, yes, I do. She said, can we have a video call? I said, I said, how? She said, in Yahoo? I said, I don't know how to do that in Yahoo, but I have signed up and have an account on Skype. Her next message was, what is Skype? I keyed in www.skype.com. The next message I got from Michelle within 2 minutes was, it's downloading. But think about this. She was downloading, she found Skype. She found out where on the site to download the file, was downloading it, but at the same time was sending me a message in instant chat. She had her navigation down pat. Then I was doing some work while this was going on. Within a minute or two, she said, it's installing. It's still installing. Well, I had my webcam plugged in and ready. But let me tell you, when I got onto Skype and when I got my webcam, it took me about 3 months, and I needed some help. Within about 6 or 7 minutes from the time she asked, what is Skype, this little Skype phone ringing is happening on my computer, and there is Michelle. Not only did she find Skype, download it, install it, create an account for herself, but she also had a little picture of Michelle up in the corner to identify who she was. She had done all this. I was amazed. Well, then there's Michelle. Michelle and Shelly are talking. And this is actually just my second time in a video call. But I see her eyes looking. She's not just looking at me. She's looking all over that screen. She's looking at everything. And I see that she's also typing little things. I said, Michelle, how many fingers do you use when you type? She said, all of them. I said, really? How did you learn that? She said, well, in school they had this SpongeBob program for typing. And I did it. I said, did the teacher teach you to do that? She said, no, nobody else did it. I just didn't want to have to look at the keys. And now I don't have to look at the keys when I type. A self-learner. I've really been impressed with Michelle. I've watched her when she's talking. She really just likes me in the room with her. We're not having that much of a conversation. She's doing her own thing. And I think she's doing it quite well. She's also multitasking because she likes having me there. And it's okay if I'm doing some work, but she is doing her own thing also. But then she asked me a question. And it was something that had to do with how a word was spelled. Well, she had found that in Skype you also have instant messaging and you could type something. I hadn't found that. I was absolutely amazed. The next day, after the first Skype day, she called again. Well, actually, it was mid-evening, after school. We talked a little bit about school. And then Michelle said, Shelly, I want to show you my screen. I said, well, how do you do that? Well, this was another option in Skype. In the 24 hours that she had school and sleeping and meals in between, she had found every option, every clickable place in Skype and had learned how to use it and had used it. Finally, Michelle showed me her screen. Well, from thinking about this child who knew all this technical stuff and was a computer geek, I realized she's really just a 7-year-old girl because her screen was filled with little dolls and dolls' clothes and little girl things. And I realized that in her own little world, she was being a computer geek, but a 7-year-old computer geek. I found her that she was extremely observant, found everything everywhere, and looked out for everything. She was a self-learner, learned all kinds of skills because she wanted to. And she was a risk taker. Boy, she did a lot more than any of us in this room, I'm sure. I'm fascinated with little Michelle, and we'll probably have a Skype phone call later today. Mr. Toastmaster.